Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, today I got to talk about Microsoft's E3 2019 conference. And unfortunately, I did do a discussion about this last night, but unfortunately, the audio got screwed up, so now I got to do it solo. And I gotta say, man, I was hyped for this. I was hyped for Microsoft's conference. It seemed like every year Phil Spencer gets on Twitter and he basically starts talking out his mouth, basically hyping up E3 for Microsoft, saying, "Oh, this year is gonna be the biggest year for Xbox." Like, I'm starting to realize now, and I've been having discussions with my friend about this for weeks, and he's been telling me to not believe in Phil Spencer, to not believe in his lies, but I just haven't been listening. Like, every year, I feel like Microsoft has been getting better every year. Like, the last 2 years has been really good for Microsoft in terms of their E3 presentation. Now, you can say what you want about the fact that like they don't really have a lot of exclusives that they show off. They show a lot of third-party games, but just going off a presentation alone, Microsoft has always outdone themselves, or at least in the last 2 years. But with this year, Sony not being in the race, Sony decided Sony deciding to kind of bow out. Like, they gave Microsoft a free win. Like, all Microsoft had to do was show some gameplay for some games, show some new IPs, show that y'all actually got exclusives for the show y'all got exclusives for the Xbox brand. Like, they didn't really have to do much. And for some reason, I guess that was too hard for them. So when Sony put out that tweet months ago talking about they weren't going to be at E3, who was the first person to respond? It was like Phil Spencer went on Twitter talking about how great Microsoft's E3 was going to be. And then I want to say like a week ago or whatever, Phil put out a tweet talking about the amount of exclusive games, the amount of Microsoft Studios games that was going to be there. So they showed off 60 games. They showed off 60 games. I believe 14 were Microsoft Studio exclusives, and I think like 32 of them were like, I think I think it was like 30 or 32 of them was going like straight to Game Pass. And so overall, I would say this conference, just to kind of give you my overall impressions, I thought it was very disappointing. I thought that they could have done a lot more, especially given the fact that I believe they said this is the actually the longest conference that they've had, and just opening up the show because I can't really comment too much about how they open up the show because I missed a few of it. I missed like the first few reveals because my internet was screwing up, but I went back and saw them earlier. I went back and saw them later rather, and so the first few games that they showed off was Outer Worlds. It was Outer Worlds. I want to say Sea of Thieves also because I didn't see that at the presentation, but then when I started looking up the games that they showed, apparently they showed Sea of Thieves because I was wondering where was Sea of Thieves. So yeah, they showed that, and I think they showed another game that I didn't see initially. But one of the main problems with their conference was just the fact that they didn't bother to show gameplay for a lot of games. I think that's what people wanted. You know that people want more gameplay for Gears 5. Like Gears 5 is going to come out this year. Why don't y'all show more gameplay than what they showed? So they didn't show Gears 5 gameplay. Let's see. They didn't show gameplay. They didn't show gameplay for a lot of games, and I feel like that was the fault in this conference. Like some of the new projects that they revealed, like third party new projects. That Blair Witch game that looks like a walking simulator, and I wasn't a fan of the Blair Witch that movie that came out I want to say a year or two ago. Fantasy Star Online 2, that's cool. I remember playing one of the Fantasy Star games on GameCube, and I thought that was cool back in the day. But I believe this is just I guess it's a remake or something of the older game that we didn't get here in the States. And honestly, I would have liked for Microsoft to actually put money toward maybe, oh, I don't know, a Fantasy Star Online 3. They showed Dragon Ball also. The Dragon Ball Project Z game, Kakarot. that they're now calling it Dragon Ball Kakarot. I was very disappointed. I was disappointed because the way that this game was marketed, it almost seemed like this was gonna be a Legacy of Goku type of thing. And just going off of what they showed at the conference, it was a bad showing. I don't think that was a I don't think that was the best trailer to show because the gameplay it reminds me too much of Xenoverse, and for this to be an RPG is kind of disappointing. But then, after the show, IGN had exclusive gameplay for Dragon Ball for the Dragon Ball game, and that kind of got me a bit more positive on the game when I saw the open world stuff and when I saw the HUD elements, the UI, and everything like that. But I can only judge, I can only judge what Xbox showed. So that was a bad showing for me. I mean, obviously it's CyberConnect 2, presentation and graphics look good, but I wasn't impressed by what they showed. The best thing at this conference, and I think everybody can agree, was Keanu Reeves and Cyberpunk 2077. Uh, it's sad when a celebrity is like the highlight of your conference. Keanu Reeves walking out there, and like at the end of that trailer of Cyberpunk 2077, in which case I also got to point out we didn't get gameplay once again. But yeah, we didn't get gameplay, but we got this cool CG trailer, and at the end of the trailer, we got this character that looks like Keanu Reeves, and I'm like, hold on, that looks like Keanu Reeves. Somebody get on the phone and get Keanu Reeves on the phone, because this is about to be like a Ellie in The Last of Us. You know how people compare Ellie in The Last of Us to that chick that was in X-Men. I'm blanking on her name. Uh, I, Ellen Page. Like people kind of compare the character. Like I was thinking it was like one of those situations, but apparently I was like, hold on, is that Keanu Reeves? And then all of a sudden I see Keanu Reeves on the screen. I'm just like, okay, wow, like that's I wouldn't expect him to be attached to a project like this. So that's pretty cool. I love the fact that the guy in the crowd, the guy in the crowd, you're breathtaking, and then like Keanu's like, no, you're breathtaking. But yeah, he was the best part. Him and Cyberpunk 2077, honestly, the best part of this conference. Because really, like I said, one of the main issues with this was that they didn't really show gameplay for a lot of games, and the gameplay that they did show, it wasn't enough. Like they showed Battletoads, and they had a bit of gameplay in that. But I'm sorry, I'm not impressed by that. It honestly looked like a knockoff of and I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but it looked like a knockoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the game, I'm not impressed by the art style and everything. And why did they have the audacity to show? So they showed some games. I'm just like, y'all, like you don't show. There's certain games that I feel like you don't show on your stage. Like you don't show on a big stage like this. They showed a Flight Simulator. Like how am I supposed to be impressed by Flight Simulator? That they showed a bunch of indie games, and if you've been on this channel long enough, y'all know how I feel about indie games on stage, about showing a bunch of indie games. And I could see if it was something like Cuphead, in which case, don't they have Cuphead DLC coming out soon? Like, why didn't they show Cuphead? But even though they didn't show Cuphead, they showed a bunch of indie games, and a lot of it wasn't impressive. It's like you don't show this. I feel like indie games don't deserve to be on that stage unless it's something like really impressive. They also showed some weird game about being a deer. Like it was certain moments throughout this conference. I stopped paying attention, and then like I went on YouTube and kind of looked up some of the trailers that I missed at the beginning because of my internet connection. I was just like, okay, this is boring. Ori and the Blind Forest. I think this other one is called Ori and the Will of the Wisp or something like that. Yeah, I'm not impressed by those Ori games. That's some that's some artsy fartsy type crap. I'm not impressed by that. That Forza. Now here's the thing I'm gonna say, cause I'll give them credit for not spending like 50 minutes on Forza like they normally do. That Forza game, that Lego Forza expansion or whatever the heck that is, it's like, why did y'all even show this? So like I would say like the best things that they showed was like Cyberpunk 2077. Um, I wouldn't even give them. I would not give them points for Dying Light. I mean, it was cool to see another trailer kind of explain the story, and then we get introduced to this new character, Aiden, who apparently Aiden is he's infected. And I'm looking forward to Dying Light 2. And you know, the people they've come out with like details about the game later on after the initial reveal last year. But it's like y'all didn't show no gameplay. Once again, show me gameplay. I can't get excited about this. Same thing with Elden Ring. You know, people like we've had the rumors out there, and I've even done a video about this about the Elden Ring game. This game is from Software. It's got Miyazaki, obviously, and then everybody's man, or well, not my man, but George. What's his name? Not George. Is it George? George R. Martin? Guy that does Game of Thrones. You know, I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I wasn't like his name means nothing to me. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of Game of Thrones fans. I got a sister. I got people in my family that are probably crazy that I know are crazy about that. I got friends that are crazy about that too. But that like his name and Miyazaki's name don't mean jack squat to me. And I'm tired of From Software. Here's the thing, and I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but I wish From Software would do something different because I think this is another Souls type game. And just judging off like the CG trailer, it kind of remind me of Lord of the Rings a little bit. But I can't get excited for the CG trailer no more, man. Borderlands 3, I mean, we've seen so much of Borderlands 3 at this point that they didn't really need to do that. It's cool that they announced this Borderlands 2 DLC. I actually have that downloaded now. I need to play that, and that's cool. You know, I guess I'll give them points for kind of showing that off. But overall, I think that the main problem with this conference was like there were no really big first party IPs, like first party new IPs, and especially like single player focus because obviously they showed that game that leaked the Ninja Theory game that leaked beforehand. They showed the game Bleeding Edge, and it looks cool. It's like Devil May Cry, but like multiplayer, and I'll give it a chance. I mean, a lot of people have been down on this game Bleeding Edge because a lot of people like we know that Microsoft needs they need single player games. They desperately need single player games. They're good on the services front. They're good on the services front. They're good on the multiplayer front, but they're lacking in first party single player narrative games like Sony has, and that's what they need. And Ninja Theory excels in those type of games. Like they have Hellblade, they had Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, they had DMC, even though a lot of people didn't like DMC, but those are solid games right there. And so a lot of people were hoping that Ninja Theory's first game as a Microsoft first party studio, they were hoping that the game was going to be a single player game. But I think this game has been in development long before they got acquired by Microsoft. And I think that maybe perhaps they have two teams. I don't know. I don't know how big Ninja Theory really is, but like I'm not one of those people that's gonna hate on the game. You know, I'll try it. They announced some free trial or some type of demo thing, and I'm gonna try that demo or beta or whatever they're calling it. You know, I'm gonna try it. I'm not gonna knock it yet, cause like one thing I can say, at least it's different. Yeah, it looks like Overwatch. It looks like Overwatch meets like Anarchy Reigns or something like that. But at the very least, it's a different kind of multiplayer. Like we always get shooting games. At least this is like it's like a hack and slash multiplayer game. So that's something that I can definitely, I mean, they didn't really show us gameplay though. That like that's I'm sorry I sound like a broken record, but they didn't show us gameplay. That was the main thing. If they would have showed us, because y'all remember like years ago in a lot of these conferences, they would basically take like they would break like 5 minutes. They would give us like 5 or 10 minutes of gameplay of these games. Now they don't do that. Like they would do like live hands-on gameplay, and they don't do that anymore. I don't know if it's because they want to make sure that nothing accidentally happens. They want to make sure they want to kind of control the presentation more, because there were moments like years ago where like they would be showing a game off and then something would happen, something would mess up or whatever. But it's like I would rather see that. I would rather see hands-on gameplay than a bunch of CG trailers that y'all like not showing me stuff, or like trailers with like a little bit of gameplay kind of sprinkled in there. And we did get some trailers like that in this um in this conference, but we didn't get enough. Like I said, not enough gameplay, not enough new IPs, not enough reasons for me to really want to stay invested in the Xbox and Microsoft brand. They also showed another game that also leaked beforehand, another leaked game, Tales of Arise, and that game looks really good. I'm so happy that they seem to be shaking up they seem to be shaking up the Tales of formula, and that was like one of my things with the Tales of franchise. I kind of got soured on it by Tales of Symphonia 2, and to see them with this different art style. And it's funny how Xenoblade looks like the Tales of games, and now Tales of is gonna look like the Xenoblade games. I thought that was that's kind of cool how they're kind of switching up the style for both of those franchises. But the gameplay in this looks a lot different. The graphics look really good. The story looks interesting, and like my main reason why I just stopped buying the Tales of games is because like I wanted them to get off that engine. I wanted them to do something new. Like a lot of the games kind of felt like a rehash in terms of like a rehash in terms of just the combat and just like it didn't feel new. Like everything that I was seeing with every new iteration in that franchise, and this looks new, and so I'm excited for Tales of Arise. I'm excited for that. But I think I about covered all the games that they showed. I mean, they showed some other stuff. Like I said, they showed a big montage of like indie games and stuff like that, Age of Empires and all this other stuff. But like, where was Fable? We keep getting rumors every year about a Fable game by Playground Games, and we don't see it. We didn't see Fable. We didn't see Perfect Dark Zero. We didn't see a lot of games. They talked about Project Scarlet, because that was something else that Uncle Phil, that uh, Killer Phil, that Phil Spencer out there on Twitter, hyping up this conference. And I gotta say, man, Phil Spencer is the ultimate hype man for these conferences. Like every year, he's just like, oh man, this is the biggest year for Xbox. We gonna blow the doors off, and they so he announced that he teased the fact that they were gonna show off, they were gonna talk about their new console and everything. And I'm thinking, okay, are we gonna see the box? Let us see the box. Let us see the box. Let us really get a bunch of details about this next Xbox. And they didn't. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. You did nothing. You did exactly what you did with the Scorpio. They had this montage of like developers and people, speaking about the next Xbox, but you didn't show anything. You didn't show anything. You talked about like I guess 8K and all these specs that apparently the PS5 has like the same specs and stuff like that, but I'm not really into talking about all that specs and crap like that. Show me the games. Show me the games, like, and show me the box. We got we got a release date. We got a release date window for the next Xbox. It's holiday 2020, but it's like, man, this Project Scarlet, whatever y'all gonna call it. I mean, I can appreciate the fact that Phil pointed out that they designed that Xbox for gaming. They didn't design it for TV, for all this other stuff like they did with the Xbox One. So they learned. But if you're not gonna show anything, if you weren't gonna show the box, if you weren't gonna show anything that was really substantial, if you weren't gonna show anything that was really meaningful, why even mention it? Why? Why? Because Sony mentioned their PS5 earlier this year. They talked about the PS5 a little bit. Like this was kind of useless. This was very disappointing because I was hoping to see a box. I was hoping to see a box. I was hoping to see maybe some next gen games, maybe even a tease of some next gen games. But the only game that we got Halo Infinite, which I guess is a cross gen game because I guess it's still gonna be on the Xbox One and then also the next Xbox. And I'm not impressed. Like if Halo is y'all launch window game, I'm like that's not something that And I'm not bashing Halo, but it's like that's not Halo has never been my series. It's never been my favorite shooter series. Like that does nothing for me. Like once again, if you're not into Halo, Gears, and Forza, it's like the Xbox brand seems to not have anything for you, and that's a problem. They need to sell me on the next Xbox. That is what Microsoft has to do in next year's E3. They really got to sell people on the next Xbox because right now I'm really feeling like I can never buy another Xbox product because it seems like they're more concerned about their live services now. Like they even mentioned, of course they're gonna bring up this Xbox. They've been doing this for a while. They've been pimping out their services, their Game Pass services, and they talked about Game Pass and how it's on PC and everything. They talked about the new Game Pass Ultimate and everything, which has also been rumored for a while. Um, they also had the nerve to another elite controller, another elite controller. What's with you guys in these controllers every year? It seems like every year they're pimping out a new controller for y'all, a new controller, a new piece of hardware, but no games, no exclusive games. Like I'm sorry, like I've been trying to be positive when it comes to Xbox. And like I said, last year, if y'all were on this channel last year, if y'all been on my channel last year, y'all know I felt like Microsoft won last year. Microsoft did a better job last year. Even if Microsoft didn't have a lot of exclusives last year or even this year, one thing I can say about last year, they had a bunch of surprises. They had Devil May Cry, Jump Force, all these games that you did not know about that was just getting people hype. There wasn't really a lot of that in this. Honestly, there really wasn't a lot of surprises. There wasn't a lot to get excited about. I, I'm trying to figure out what was the point. Y'all like Sony didn't even show up, and it's like y'all. It almost feels like Microsoft didn't want to show up. It's like it was terrible. It was a terrible conference. It was their worst conference in years. And some of y'all might think I'm exaggerating, but man, compare this conference to the last two conferences that they had. I mean, they can say that they showed the most games that they have ever showed, but y'all also didn't show a lot of gameplay. Y'all also didn't show a lot of a lot of new big game reveals that would get people excited. Y'all didn't show a lot. Y'all didn't show a lot. So overall, if I had to give them a score, they're getting a D from me. They're getting, if I had to give them a letter grade, they're getting a D because this conference was garbage. I was excited for this. I was hopeful. I was hopeful that we would get something substantial about the next generation. That we would get Fable. Like I'm not even a fan of Fable. I want to see what they're gonna do with this Fable game. I want to see what they're gonna do with Perfect Dark Zero. I want to see some new IPs. I want to see gameplay for your other games. I want to see gameplay, not CG trailers. Like I don't care about Game Pass. I don't care about XCloud. Y'all been talking about the power of the cloud all generation. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Show me games. Show me games. I can't play a controller. I mean, I can use a controller to play a game, but I'm not buying $150 controller or however like I don't know how much it costs, but whatever. I'm not buying an expensive controller to not play any games. Y'all get what I mean. Like Microsoft's conference was hot garbage. It was hot garbage. And you know what? Because I don't feel like talking about Bethesda, I don't even feel like giving them a separate video. I'm gonna say this: Bethesda's conference was also garbage. There was nothing there. A bunch of talking. Todd Howard didn't even want to really speak on oh my god. Like Bethesda's conference was garbage. The best thing that they showed. So like the best thing that they showed was that Arcane game and that game from Tango Works. And I'm blanking on both of the names, so forgive me. I think one game was called Deathloop, and I forgot the other game. But yeah, those two games were like the best thing that Bethesda showed. Like honestly, Bethesda's conference isn't even worth doing a video on. It was terrible. Like half the time I was tuned out because every few minutes they would go back to this like montage of people like speaking, and then they were just showing a bunch of games that I did not care about. I don't care about Doom. I don't care about Wolfenstein. Rage 2. Rage 2 is a disappointment. Like their conference was garbage. Todd Howard not wanting to really take ownership. When it comes to Fallout 76, And I believe, and I didn't even see this. Did they announce Battle Royale for Fallout 76? They talking about how good their community is. Like, man, it was a joke. Like, both Bethesda and both Microsoft, y'all getting a D. Y'all getting a D. And the only thing that saved Bethesda is Arcane, is Tango Works. But yeah, man, that's like I've talked enough. Hope y'all guys enjoyed this. Like the video, subscribe. I'm out of here. Peace.